Hey, Braden.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. Good to see you again on this fake intro since we just were chatting before we hit record.
Yes, always good to have a nice fake intro.
Yeah. So, for anyone watching, Braden, we met for the first time probably about 2 weeks ago and had about a 15-minute conversation together. So, today is really the first time that we're having a full conversation together and working together on your finances. And I'm super excited.
Yeah, no, me as well. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So, in terms of what we're going to be covering today, I want to start by, kind of really zooming out and looking broad. One of the things you had mentioned in our intro call together is that you would like some help putting together a 3 to 5 year financial plan. So, I thought that's where we can start today. We can talk about what your financial goals are, what you're hoping to accomplish. And then from there, we'll go ahead and we'll take a look at the numbers together of what your current situation looks like, and we can start to hash out some goals and some stepping stones of what comes next.
Okay, yeah, sounds great.
Okay, awesome. So, as you think about, the next 3 to 5 years down the road for yourself, how would you want your life to look differently than it does right now?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, I one thing, so this is actually a change that has come up since our last conversation. I was kind of looking into grad school options, but I was officially accepted into an MBA program,
Oh,
which is very
congratulations.
exciting. Thank you. So that'll start in March, and then that's a 2 to 3 year program. And so that'll be a big part of my finances and my life for the next few years. It kind of changes things a little bit. So I think over the next 3 years, 2, 3 years, my financial and mental goal is to survive. But no,
Set the bar really high.
yeah, exactly. Shoot for the stars, right? But no, I would love to, be able to like baby steps go from like a 2 bedroom apartment to a 3 bedroom apartment to prepare to grow my family a little bit more. I don't think I'll be quite ready to like buy anything, but maybe like rent like a townhome or something would be awesome. Getting a second car in the next couple of years would be great as well. It's not like a high need right now, but it would definitely give my wife a lot more freedom throughout the day. And so another car would be a great addition, as well as a little bit of a bigger place. We're in a 2 bedroom right now. And yeah, then like a little bit further down the road, looking closer to the 5 years, I definitely would want to look into prepping to buy like a townhouse or a home or something. And yeah, throughout the whole way, I want to keep like investing, make sure I'm being smart for like retirement and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, still have a little bit of room for like vacations here and there. So it's kind of the goal.
Okay. Yeah, you're in what I consider like the transition decade, and you can probably relate to this. When I graduated from my undergrad degree, Um, I graduated, and then, like, 2 months later, my wife and I got engaged, and then 2 months after that, she graduated, and then a week after that, we got married, and then we went on our honeymoon, and the day we got home from our honeymoon, we moved across the country and both started new jobs, and it's just like, yeah, that season of life where there's so much in transition at the same time.
Yeah, for sure. And it's funny because, like, I feel like when you graduate, like, we kind of were saying, like, getting married was crazy, graduating, getting jobs was all crazy. And then, like, you think it's going to end. Then it's like, oh, no, I'm still, like, trying to figure out my stuff for the next, like, 5 years at least. I have no idea. But
Yeah, and you
yeah,
lose all that structure of being in school or whatever, and it's like, my life could really look like however I want it to be, and
yeah,
now
for
it's my
sure.
job to figure out what is that life that I want.
Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned you're married. I know from the intake survey that your wife's name is Megan. And then do you guys have any kids, or is it just you and her?
We do. Yeah. We've got a little boy. He just turned 1 last week. Very exciting. So his name is Scott. And yeah, he's great.
Well, congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you.
I have a 2-year-old.
Very fun.
Yeah,
So fun.
same thing in that toddler phase.
Yeah, he's not quite walking yet, our kid, so we still have a little bit of freedom from chasing him around, but we're getting close.
Yeah, that's good. That's exciting. Well, happy birthday to Scott.
Thank you.
And Do you guys plan on having more kids in the future? Like, would that factor in to your finances as well, or would it just be the one kid?
Yeah, for sure. Great question. Yeah, we do. We don't know exactly what our timelines for that are right now, but yeah, we would love to have probably another couple kids at some point. So I imagine the next 3 to 5 years, more likely than not, we'll have another kid.
Okay, good to know. Yeah, the reason why I ask is because, well, obviously you have to prepare for some of those expenses
Yeah, it
that
turns
come.
out kids cost money. Crazy.
Yeah, it's funny in my own finances, I almost just like factor in like a monthly waste cost of yesterday. My son took a box of cereal out of the pantry, didn't know he could reach that shelf, but he can, and opened up the bag of brand new cereal and just like started feeding our dog out of the bag, brand new cereal. So yeah, that's
It's
the
so
waste
real.
cost. Okay, awesome. And then you guys are living in Utah currently in Provo.
Yeah. Yep.
Do you plan to, thinking of in your ideal world, would you stay in Utah long term? Would you be interested in moving somewhere else?
Yeah. Long term, probably. Yeah. We're game for whatever. If a great opportunity popped up somewhere else, we definitely jump on it. I think there's a lot of family in Utah, and so long term, we'd like to come back at some point. But yeah, we're not like super glued to it. We're happy to go wherever the wind takes us for the next little bit.
Okay, gotcha. And that could be really valuable as you're, advancing in your career too. Maybe you finish your MBA and a great opportunity comes up, but it's in California or Atlanta and you have to take your family there.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Okay, awesome. Let's talk about your MBA program that you just
Okay.
got accepted into.
Yeah.
Where are you going to be going to school?
So it's the University of Illinois. It is an online program, so I'll still be here.
Okay.
So we'll stay in Utah and I'll just keep working while we do that. But yeah, I'm super excited. It's going to be great. I think, kind of longer term, like career goals. I'd love to, I like small companies. I'd love to kind of be a senior level in a small company and help scale it. That would be like my dream career. And hopefully make some good money on an acquisition or something along those lines. And so I think an MBA will prep me for that just with the experience and the network and everything. But more short term, kind of just keep growing within kind of the realm of business operations that I am in and operations management and such to keep getting experience and prepping there. But yeah, so hopefully the MBA will help me with that. But for the next few years, it's definitely just grind and learn and prepare for bigger and better things around the corner.
Yeah. And how long is your MBA program? Is it a 2-year program?
Yeah, it depends. You can kind of pace yourself a little bit. So generally it's 2 to 3 years from what I've seen. I think some people even go longer than that. I think they'll allow you to do up to 4 years. So ideally I'll get through it as fast as I can. My goal is in the first semester to take a course load that would complete me in 2 years. And if I feel like that is overwhelming after one semester, I'll probably slow it down, but we'll at least hope for that.
Okay, so 2 years of the 5-year plan are already accounted for.
Yep. Yeah, 2 to 3 years. Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, good. And when we get into the numbers a little more later on as well, we can map out, what that looks like in terms of tuition costs and making sure we're factoring that in as
Okay,
well.
cool.
Before we get there though, before we look at the numbers, I would love to maybe just gain a better understanding of what it is that's most important to you. And I think you've shared some of those things of being part of a small company and helping it grow. And I want you to pretend that tomorrow you wake up and you get an email, and it's not a spam email, it's a real email from an attorney, and they say, Braden, your long lost great uncle has just passed away. You've inherited a fortune of $20 million and it's all yours, available today. In fact, it's already sitting in your bank account and it's going to be tax free. All the money is just yours and it's immediately available to you.
Let's go.
What would your life look like if you never had to worry about working to earn more money?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's funny, I've kind of had conversations with my wife about this as well. I don't know. There's a bunch of different things that I would do with a bunch of money like that. I think one thing that's huge is just security, right? I think a lot of that I would invest it in different ways to make sure like whatever happens, if stock market crashes or like whatever it is, like I'm well diversified, like my family is cared for the rest of my life and after that, regardless of what happens. And that money can grow and generate passive income and like I think security would be a big part of it. I think as well, you know, it would be awesome to help pay off like mortgages for like family members who are like struggling or whatever. That would be awesome. But then as far as like lifestyle goes, I think funnily enough, I've always wanted to like make sure I raised my kids not feeling super rich. That might sound funny, but like growing up, like just a little bit of context, my dad was super poor. He ended up doing quite well. And like he raised us in a way that we had no idea how well he was doing. Right? Like I don't know. We didn't think we had all that much money. And like they take us on trips and like pay for us to like play sports and such. We didn't feel super rich. I mean, we weren't crazy rich, but he was doing a little bit better than we thought. And I think it was good for me to realize, I grew up working all throughout high school and like I paid for almost all of my undergrad by myself and just like to gain that desire and like ability to figure out how to take care of myself was awesome. And so, if I was worth $20 million, I would probably live a life as if I was making like 300K a year or something, definitely comfortable lifestyle, but my kids don't need to know I'm worth $20 million while we're growing up. And I think just get a decent house in a decent neighborhood. And I still love the idea of working for a small company. I think it would be that much funner if I wasn't super stressed about it. So I'd probably still work, but have a flexible schedule to be able to help out at home. My wife would probably do similar things where we could have a flexible schedule where we could both spend time with the kids, but also both be able to kind of do different things we want to do. Yeah, it was a little big answer. Not sure if you wanted that much, but anyway, it's kind of where I'd be at if I had all that money.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. That's very revealing, and I want to share with you a couple things that I noticed. So, I like to ask this question because it helps me get a better idea of what your financial values are. And as we're creating a financial plan that's tailored to you, we want to make sure that we're building one that doesn't compromise your values, right? That's in line with what's most important to you. So I heard two things that you mentioned right off the bat. The first one was security. So, as we think about how that translates to the world of finance, probably want to always make sure that you have a solid emergency fund and others, insurance coverage, those types of things that provide you with that level of financial security. And then you also mentioned generosity of being able to help other family members. Even though you don't have $20 million today, we can think of ways to start small and incorporate that into your financial goals as well. The last thing I noticed that, well, there was a lot that was really revealing in your answer, but one thing that really stood out to me is when it comes to our personal financial beliefs, we all grow up in different circumstances. And usually, what I've noticed when people grow up in different financial circumstances is that they either have an adoptive mindset or they have a reactionary mindset. So, your parents grew up, probably pretending to be middle class, and it wasn't until later you found out they were actually pretty wealthy. And you could take that one of two ways. A reactionary mindset would be, "Oh my gosh, why did my parents do it that way? I hated that." And your personal value would be from day one, I want to, let my kids know financial transparency, where we're at as a family. That would be a reactionary mindset where you're basically going in the opposite direction as your parents. Or an adoptive mindset where you grew up in that circumstance, you found out later your parents' financial position, and you say, "Hey, that was actually really cool. I'd like to continue that in my own life as well."
Yeah,
Which, by the way,
makes
I'm
sense.
still waiting for that conversation where my mom and dad, call me up and say, "Hey, by the way, we have this huge trust fund for you that we didn't tell you about."
For real. Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't get a huge trust fund either. But no, it was, yeah, no, it was,
Okay, awesome. So I think maybe the underlying element there is this idea of self reliance and not just potentially passing on wealth to your children, but giving them the skill set they need to manage money responsibly throughout their lives.
Yeah, no, yeah, I think that hits the nail on the head.
Okay, perfect. So let's set some financial priorities here. You've mentioned a couple different goals that you have, paying for your MBA program, buying a second car, saving up to buy a house, maybe also a transition step of a bigger apartment before you end up purchasing a house, planning for, having future children. If you had to prioritize those, what would be like if you could only accomplish one of those goals, which one would it be? The paying for the MBA program, the house, the car, having another kid. If only one of those could happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would have to be the MBA program right now, just because
Okay.
I feel like that's the investment that will set me up to better do the rest of them. And it's kind of more of a shorter term thing, like the house and the car would be great, but we could wait another couple years on those. Or waiting a couple years on an MBA would not be wise, I don't think. Just yeah. So yeah, if I had to choose one, that would probably be the first choice.
Okay. MBA program number one. What would come next?
I think it depends. If we end up having a kid sooner rather than later, getting a bigger place to live would be next. And if that doesn't end
Okay.
up happening, then getting a car would be next. So it kind of depends on where life takes us. But yeah,
Yeah. Okay. If we had to put one down on paper, what would it be?
we'll say the car probably. Yeah.
Second car, and then number three house, and then number four another kid.
Yeah. Maybe kid then house. I don't know. I feel like buying a house is definitely the lowest priority. I feel like
Okay.
getting a slightly bigger apartment is a higher priority. So I don't know if you're like looking at those
Mm,
separately, but
okay.
yeah.
Okay. So as we think about your financial priorities, this is what I have. Number one, MBA program. Number two, get a second car. Number three, bigger apartment. Number four, have another kid. And then number five, buy a house.
Yeah. Yeah, I think financially that makes sense. I mean, I guess I don't know, maybe this is silly of me, but I haven't really thought of having a kid as like a financial priority. I've always like separated those in my mind, and so I haven't thought of like ranking that compared to the other financial purchases. So I don't know, like it's one of those things where yeah, that kind of sounds right, the priority ranking, but also if we end up deciding to have a kid in like 6 months and we're not ready to have a car, like we'll send it, like I don't know, we'll
Yeah.
just do what we need to do.
Yeah. Okay. That's good to know. And, by the way, sometimes in my own life, I think about that too. Like having another kid might be more of like a family priority or even a spiritual priority. And it's like, you figure out the finances to make it work.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where I'm at.
Okay. If you want to, we can keep that out of your list of priorities from the sake of a financial conversation. And as we're creating a strategy for you, we'll just want to build in some extra flexibility so that, if the timing's not as much in your control on that one, you still have the flexibility to adapt and adjust and make changes if you need to.
Okay, yeah, I think that would make sense for me.
Okay. Awesome. Sounds good. All right. MBA program, second car, bigger apartment, and then a house. Now that we've talked about some of the things that are most important to you, should we go ahead and look at the numbers?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Awesome. Have you ever, by the way, I'm curious to know, have you ever seen all of your financial accounts in the same place before? Like, is your net worth, is that something you track, or this would be the first time you're looking at everything together?
I don't think I've ever like put it in a spreadsheet, but I've like done the math before, so I'm not like shocked by what's up here.
Okay. Phone calculator, that kind of thing.
Yep.
All right, so go ahead and read off. Let's start with this number. If you want to read off the total cash savings.
Yeah, so it's $50,378.
Okay. And then total invested assets
$7,451.
and liabilities are zero. So that leaves you with a net worth of,
$57,829.
how does that feel? Is that, something you're proud of? Do you feel behind? What
No,
comes to mind?
I'm pretty happy with that, I think. We've always kind of made saving a priority, and so we've been able to do that throughout like our marriage and even beforehand for me. And so yeah, I mean, I think I feel pretty good with that. Definitely feels like I don't have financial worries right now, even though we're living a pretty frugal lifestyle. It feels good to know if I got let go tomorrow, we'd have some time to figure things out. And we're also preparing for the bigger goals.
Yeah. And you're 26, is that right?
Yeah, I'll be 27 next month, but yeah,
Okay. Happy early birthday.
thank you.
Okay, so you're almost 27 years old. You are already married and have a kid in your 20s. Within the last couple of years, finished your undergraduate. You've been working for a few years. Now you're transitioning into your MBA. I would be very proud of this if I were you.
Thanks.
I think 20s can be a tough decade where a lot of money's coming out and it feels like not very much is coming in. So when I look at this, interpretation is Braden is someone that is financially responsible. He makes, and Megan as well, make intentional decisions with their money. And you've clearly have not, stumbled and tripped into $50,000. You've clearly made some decisions along the way that have contributed to that. So I'd be very proud.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So as you think about, and we can see a breakdown here. So you've got 50,000 in cash savings, 7,000 in investments, no loans or liabilities. What do you think are some of the strengths of your current financial situation?
Yeah, I mean, I think no liabilities is obviously a big one. Nice to not have to worry about any debt. And then definitely I have a good bit of like cash so I can move stuff around as needed, which I think is a pretty big strength as well as probably the top two, I would say.
I would agree with that. Being debt free and having a lot of cash savings is really nice. That's what I consider like phase one of personal finance is paying off debt and building your savings. And by the way, there's a lot of people that never get there. So good job. You're starting off on the right foot.
Thank you.
What do you think are maybe some of the areas for improvement or things that you would like to change?
Yeah, I mean, I think I could probably definitely continue to grow my investments. I don't really have any valuable assets. I think that would be a big step. Obviously, a little bit of protection there. Then, yeah, just knowing what to do. I don't know. Like, it's funny, I have the cash and I feel like, oh, this is probably more cash than I should have. I should invest it somewhere. Then I think of investing it. And I'm like, oh, that's scary to pull from the cash. And so then I don't do that. And we stay where we are. So, yeah, more direction there would be great.
Yeah. Okay. We'll definitely talk about that together. And I actually think it's a good thing that you have a lot of money in cash right now, given your current life circumstances. We have some upcoming goals of paying for an MBA program, buying another car. Those are all things that will probably happen in the short term. And, cash is very stable, doesn't experience much growth, which is exactly where you need your money to be considering the decisions you're about to make. When we think of investing, that's more of a long-term play. There's a lot more volatility along the way. So it's usually best for, longer term goals, maybe something that's 10 years down the road, 20, 30, 40 years down the road for you.
Cool.
All right. So let's shift gears here for a second and let's talk a little bit more about your highest financial priority right now, which is the MBA program. Do you know how much it's going to cost?
More or less, yeah. I think it is one of the less expensive programs, which was a big selling point for me. Um, so it's kind of like the cheapest big name I could get. But 26,000 is the total program cost,
Okay.
which is great for an MBA. So you pay per credit. I don't remember exactly what the amount per credit is, and I actually don't know like if I'm paying per semester or what. But if it takes me 2 years, it'll come down to just over $1,000 a month. Basically, I don't think I'll be paying for it that way, but that's about what it'll be.
Okay. $26,000 for the full program. If you're paying per credit, I'm guessing, yeah, something along the lines of paying per semester. And then remind me, when's the start date? I know you said it is in the spring.
It's March.
Okay. Start date of March. And do you know when the first payment, the first tuition payment would be due?
I don't. I mean, I just got accepted a few days ago, so I have
Okay.
not
Yeah.
yeah, gotten into any of these details yet.
Okay, I want to give you our first action item or invitation
Okay,
for this
perfect.
week. I want you to get the specifics on your MBA program of, you know, we know roughly how much it's going to cost. See if you can get the specific numbers of how much you have to pay before you start, what the dates are. I think that'll be really helpful as we're planning things out for you.
Okay, for sure.
Are there any sort of scholarships or other funding sources for your MBA program, or is it all going to be coming out of pocket?
It'll be almost all out of pocket. There's not a lot of scholarship opportunities for online MBA programs, unfortunately. That's how I paid for most of my undergrad, so it's a shame. I'm expecting just a few $1,000s from a family source, which will be very awesome to receive. Not like a huge amount, but a little bit of help there. But otherwise, I'm kind of expecting at least 20,000, a little bit more than that to be coming out of my pocket.
Okay, so like roughly $6,000 from a family member.
A little bit less than that, yeah. I think
Okay.
closer to 5 probably.
Okay, good. So we'd be looking at $21,000. And with the program cost of $26,000, does that include like books and materials and stuff, or is that just the tuition?
I think that's just the tuition.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll want to bake in a little bit of margin.
Yeah, for sure. And then, I don't know, they probably raise tuition rates every year, who knows? So it'll probably be a little bit more than that too.
Okay, awesome. So next time we meet, if you want to go ahead and you can just email me the details of the cost of tuition and everything and the breakdown,
Yeah, will do.
and then I'll add it to your financial plan. And next time we meet, we can go through the numbers and then start working on our next priority topics. After we talk about the MBA program, there's a couple different directions we could go, and I'd love to hear your input. After we finish talking about the MBA, we could talk about the car purchase. We could talk about your long-term goals with investing strategy, or we could talk about tax planning that you had mentioned before as well. Which one would you say is the next topic you want to cover?
Yeah, probably the car would make sense for next. I mean, the other two are great things that I'd be interested to talk about, but they're definitely not as immediately on my mind.
Okay, good. Can I give you a second action item?
Yeah, please do.
Okay. I want you to get together with your wife, and I'm assuming this would be a shared car, right? Or is it for one of you?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Okay. Second action item here, get together with your wife and create a list of all of the needs that you have for a new car. And I'll give you an example. You probably want like the reason why you need it, which I think you had mentioned it's because right now when you're working, your wife is stuck at home without transportation. So maybe that's like the overarching reason why it's worth spending the money for both of you. And then you have the specific needs of the car. So it could be, a certain gas mileage, it could be certain safety features that it has, it could be a certain number of seats in the car, it could be, a certain style of car, like maybe it has to be a pickup truck or a sedan. Make a list of all the needs and then make a second list of all of the wants. So, things that you would like to have if it fits within your budget. And these could be, it could be like, I don't know, what are the bells and whistles in cars these days? I drive an older car. It's like 10 years old. So I don't even know what the bells and whistles are, but
I
maybe like a
remember when
sunroof or
we
something. I don't
Yeah,
know.
when we went from my first car that I got, which was super old, to, like, the one we currently have when that one died, we went from roll windows to, like, the electronic windows, so I was like, "Oh, that's fancy." So, those are
Yeah.
bells and whistles, is not having roll windows.
Yeah, we had one of those. I had in my car that I drove in high school, it had a tape recorder. Not even CDs, like literally tapes that you would put in to listen to. So that was pretty old school too.
That's so funny. Also, I do get your newsletter, and so you had your whole car breakdown on just this last one, so I
Yeah,
know
I did.
exactly what you're talking about. I have your little roadmap for me right there.
Perfect. Yeah, you can use that to guide you. And something else you'll probably want to talk about is when you talk to Megan, put together some sort of budget of what you think would be reasonable to spend on a car. And then when we pick up in our next call together, we'll map out the expenses for your MBA program, and then we'll start talking a little more specifically about the car purchase as well.
Okay, that sounds great.
Awesome. Sounds good. Well, that's all I've got for you tonight. Thank you, Braden.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you so much. Talk to you later.
Okay. See you again soon.
Bye.